The shrill crackle of the 911 call pierced the quiet morning. Brian O'Miller's voice trembled as he relayed what he'd just seen. His sister, Laura Grillo, lying motionless on the kitchen floor. "She's not moving. I just got up and saw her. Please, someone help."
We're out 911, what's the emergency?
Yeah, I need an ambulance. I just got up and I went to the kitchen and I saw blood. She laying on the kitchen floor. Looked like she hit her head.
Okay. She's not moving?
That I saw.
Okay. What is your name?
My name's Brian.
Within minutes, police were on the scene in Rolette, Texas, their sirens slicing through the calm neighborhood. Blood streaked the kitchen, a lone shell casing glinting ominously on the floor. The paramedics had already retreated upon discovering the bullet, leaving detectives to navigate the horror that had unfolded. 20 minutes later, Laura's fiancé, John Riss, arrived, pale and distraught. They'd been together for 7 years, their wedding only a week away, and shared a 4-year-old child. Everyone who knew them would describe them as devoted, committed, and intertwined not just by love but by community work, volunteering with the local police department. Yet, as John spoke with investigators, his grief was punctuated by moments of odd calm, a composure that seemed at odds with the scene before him. Inside the house, detectives noted the subtle chaos. Drawers overturned, a safe left open, yet no signs of forced entry. This was no random break-in. Someone had come with intent. Brian, hearing impaired, had not caught the gunshot, clearing him as a suspect, and John's alibi placed him in North Dallas meeting construction workers that morning. Still, every detail, every glance, every hesitation was scrutinized, a puzzle the police were determined to solve. Even in the midst of tragedy, Laura's life flickered through the investigation. She had been vibrant, planning a wedding, looking forward to a future with John, though beneath the surface tension sometimes lingered. Friends would later recall quiet worries she had voiced about John's temper, though she had hoped their love could overcome the friction. The investigators began to see the threads of motive, personal conflicts intertwined with opportunity, as they moved from one interview to another, tracing each step, each decision, each suspicious action that might explain the unthinkable act that had torn through their lives. By the end of the day, Rolette was gripped by shock. The story of a devoted wife and mother, a couple on the brink of marriage, and a brutal act that shattered a home had begun to take shape, but the full horror was only just beginning to reveal itself. The following morning, investigators were still combing through Laura's home, piecing together the sequence of events that had led to her death. Every room was a silent witness, telling fragments of a story that didn't yet make sense. Detectives took notice of the meticulous way John had described his morning, how he left for North Dallas to meet 2 workers from his construction company. One was James Valer, barely 3 weeks on the job, the other, Jay Trevino, his longtime friend and right-hand man. While John's movements seemed corroborated by store surveillance footage, the police couldn't ignore the subtle inconsistencies in what the men said versus the evidence they had been collecting. Brian's 911 call had set the investigation in motion, but it was the interviews with friends and family that painted a fuller picture. Laura, despite outward happiness, had quietly struggled with John's temper. Friends mentioned conversations where she questioned whether to move forward with their wedding, but her love for him and commitment to their family kept her hopes alive. Detectives began to suspect that this tension, combined with John's desire for control and sole custody of their daughter, might have fueled a more sinister plan. It was during the formal interviews with James and Jay Trevino that the investigation first began to shift. Both men initially claimed ignorance, downplaying their connection to the events. But there was a peculiar ease in Jay Trevino's demeanour, a lightness that didn't match the gravity of the crime. While James appeared uneasy, Jay Trevino seemed almost indifferent, joking at moments when seriousness was expected. Detectives sensed the cracks forming. They had learned that small behavioural inconsistencies often led to confessions. Technology soon offered the breakthrough the investigators needed. GPS data from Jay Trevino's phone revealed he had been near Laura's home at the time of the murder, contradicting his statements of staying in Dallas. The realization hit hard. The trusted friend and employee was lying, and the truth was closer than anyone had anticipated. Meanwhile, John continued to maintain his innocence, but the pressure was building. Detectives began connecting the dots between his custody motives, past relationship tensions, and the suspicious behavior of those around him.
He was mean, he yelled, he had a terrible temper, he was possessive. It was a little surprising when she accepted his proposal. There were actually several times when Laura was thinking about leaving John.
By the end of Chapter 2, the investigation had evolved from a tragic homicide into a web of deceit, lies, and hidden agendas. The detectives now knew they weren't dealing with a random act of violence. This was a calculated event, and every interview, every GPS ping, and every contradiction brought them one step closer to unraveling the full story behind Laura Grillo's murder. With the GPS data in hand, detectives intensified their focus on Jay Trevino. His proximity to Laura's house during the murder was undeniable, and his casual attitude during interviews now looked less like confidence and more like recklessness. As detectives pressed James Varla on inconsistencies, his unease grew, revealing cracks in his story. Meanwhile, investigations into John Murray's uncovered clear motives, gaining sole custody of his daughter and avoiding financial obligations, paired with increasing frustration over his life with Laura. Phone records and social media hinted at coordination between John and Jay Trevino, while James's behavior, hesitation, fidgeting, and evasive answers signaled he was hiding crucial knowledge. After a 9-hour interrogation, the pressure broke him, and he confessed to driving the getaway car while Jay Trevino carried out the murder under John's direction. James's testimony exposed months of planning, the steps taken to cover the crime, and led detectives to recover discarded evidence linking Jay Trevino to the scene. With a cooperating witness and tangible proof, the investigation shifted from suspicion to certainty, paving the way for arrests, courtroom proceedings, and justice for Laura. As the investigation intensified, police closed in on John Mriz and Jay Trevino, gathering evidence that tied them to the murder beyond doubt. James, the getaway driver, became the key witness after days of relentless interrogation, revealing the chilling truth. John had hired Trevino to kill Laura, motivated by a desire to end the relationship and secure custody of their daughter while avoiding financial obligations. Trevino, who initially denied involvement, was tracked and arrested in Florida, while John remained defiant, requesting legal representation and refusing to confess despite mounting proof. James's testimony proved pivotal, linking both men to the crime and exposing the months-long conspiracy. The trial culminated in February 2019 with John Mriz and Jay Trevino convicted of capital murder and sentenced to life without parole, while James received a reduced sentence of 25 years, with the possibility of early release for his cooperation.